everybody, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life, and I'm here to have just a little chat with you about creating on a daily basis. So this is kind of a conversation that's been happening over on the Secret Not Secret Kid Club. I'm trying to get into frame completely here. Sorry, it's Friday. My kid started kindergarten today. That's crazy. So I'm gonna go through about how I do it. Now you're gonna find that things get repeated when people talk about this, because a lot of us, I think, do kind of the same things, just within our own ability to do it. So let's start with the basics. So if you're first time you ever watch me and you have no idea, I have 3 kids. They are 5, 2.5, and 7 months. I am currently home, but I do work. I work about 70%. So I work 4 days. So it's a little bit more than part-time. And, house, husband, all that great stuff. So busy mom like everybody else. Jackson has some special needs, so a little bit even heightened if you can relate to yourself in that ballpark. All sorts of stuff. Yet I still find a way to create every single day. Now, that being said, I may not be in this room every day. I find my ways, and this is my very first tip for you, is find something you can do. My personal favorite thing to do is hand stitching, that you can take. Filling while people are at home, that's a great thing to do. I kind of lost wire. So I'm not always in my room when I'm doing something. So I like to do hand stitching on my projects and stuff like that. So backing and cut file is another one. So I take whatever my project is that I want to work on, and remember, I have little kids around that like to touch things and grab things and whatever. So I go and I bring it into, I personally have a part of my kitchen that I can put it there where the kids can't quite reach it. I mean, Jackson can, but he knows not to touch it. And I can put it there, and my kitchen is located where I can see into the living room where they're playing, into our family room, and into their actual playroom. So it's kind of a really great common area where I can stand or sit, because I have the dining room table right next to me. And when I have little moments, so I don't carry Barrett all day long, I can put him down for a couple minutes to play with his siblings and do something. Now, believe me, I get maybe 5 minutes to do it, but that's okay. That's all you need. Don't stress about, I have to get everything done at once. You can do things in 5-minute increments and get a ton done. So here's an example for you. I'll give you a couple. My first one is the hand stitching. So you're gonna get a couple sneak peeks because these haven't actually come out yet. I'm working on a really fun project, stitching an alphabet. This is a lot of stitching, you guys. So I did these first 2 rows. So I've basically been doing a row a day, or a letter, literally a letter at a time. Except when it comes to these sequins ones, so these ones that have the sequins, I do those in the evening. I give myself, again, it's not a lot of time, a half an hour sometimes is great. I don't even always get that, but I do try to make sure that I come into my room in the evening, if I can, if I'm not too tired, and try to do a little bit more. So something like that where I can sit and do that while watching YouTube videos, so I'm getting the creative juices flowing by watching a video as well as doing something myself. It's a great way to do. So that's another thing, tip for you. Do something while you're watching YouTube. Most of us are far enough along in our scrapbooking that we know how to look up when we need to when it comes to process videos, see what we need to see, but do other things at the same time. So that is a really, really good plan. If you watch whatever you allow yourself to watch in process videos a day, have something you can do while you're doing it. Even do it in bed. I mean, you can do things in bed, like backing a cut file. If all you have is this little cut file with your fine liner and the pattern papers, the couple pattern papers you want to use, you can quickly do that, clean up the mess, and be done for the day before you even get out of bed. So lots of ways you can do that. So again, the other idea would be a cut file. So here's an example. I'm working on, this used to be a sand castle. This was a, let's see, I would probably say a 3-part process for me. So it took me 3 different times to come into my room or go to where I go to create this. So it's okay. It's done though. And when I'm ready to actually have enough time to create the page, I'm going to be able to do that. So do something small. It works really well. And then when it comes to actually creating, you can do the same idea of creating in small increments. So I've started this new Traveler's Notebook for my son, and it's kind of all of his funny little quotes and stuff that I've been collecting over this past year, because he has been saying some really funny and sweet and just hilarious things. So I've been collecting them but not knowing where I wanted to put them, so I decided that this was going to be it. So what happened was one day I created a layout, and I'm trying to think if I have it close by. I don't think I do. Oh, I do. I was creating this layout. This is for the Merceteer challenge from last month. So a month ago, I was creating this layout, and I did the mixed media. I had a little bit left over, so I quickly just grabbed this Traveler's Notebook. I just grabbed the closest one to me, and I spread over the rest of the mixed media on top of it, let it dry, sat there. So that, just with the stencil part, have been sitting on, not being used for, for quite a while. I then got the idea that I wanted to do this Traveler's Notebook, so I grabbed my watercolors. This is one of my nighttime things that I got to do in, my half an hour of time. And I just simply went ahead and did that. And I started with my colors, and I went about it and let it dry overnight. I think this was 3 days ago I created this, let it be, and whatever. And then I have the luxury of how my kids currently, they're sleeping in, so Barrett wakes up at about 5, and then I get him a bottle and hang out with him, and then he's not actually ready to be up. He just gets up because he's a really light sleeper, and he hears Sean up and moving around because he's still in our bedroom. So he does tend to have a nap while the other two are still sleeping or not quite up, or Jackson can be up, but he's very self-sufficient and just wants to sit and hang out by himself for a little bit anyway. So I've got about half an hour time in the morning a lot of times, and that happened yesterday for me. And now this doesn't happen every day, right? Like we take what you can get. And so yesterday morning I went in and grabbed just my bag of I have a kit kind of based around boy stuff, and I just went through it and picked a couple things that worked for embellishing, grabbed a pack of thickers and made this work. You can see I had to Frankenstein the T, the E, and the S. Oh, sorry, the T, the E, and the S. And that was all I did. I didn't glue anything down. I didn't anything. I just laid it out and was like, yep, this is gonna work. I closed this and I put it on my shelf, and I walked away because that was all I was gonna get done, and that's okay. I did not come back up into this room the rest of the day. I'll be honest with you. I stayed downstairs. I did a little bit of my stitching, but I didn't come back up here. Then this morning, I came back up. I had enough time to glue this down in the morning. And then I think we had breakfast. We got ready to get Jackson to school. We went to Costco. We picked up Jackson. He had a really short day, and then the kids were playing with their dad for a little bit, and we do try to have some separate time where just one of us is with all 3 kids for, it's a short amount of time, but enough time where I got to trace out my lines and write my journaling, along with adding just this little tad bit of pattern paper, and bam, I love this. And you could probably do this, minus the mixed media, in 15 minutes if you had that much time to do it. I didn't have 15 minutes to do it, so I did it in literally 5-minute increments of doing it. So you can do it in small little tiny bits. So there's lots of things you can do. Now, if you can't actually, or you're not in the mood to do something where you're actually creating, my suggestion, and something that I try to do, because I have those days, I think we all have those days where the last thing you actually want to do is sit down and create. Like you're not having it. You've had a bad day and it's not happening. So I'm on Instagram constantly. I love Instagram. I never know where to look on here, sorry. And for example, I'll put it up here. Where will it be? Maybe this corner or this corner? It'll be up. I found this really cool sketch from Hip Kit Clubs when I was scrolling today, And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. This would make such a fun layout. The moment that you say that to yourself, take a photo of it or save it wherever you save it or do whatever you do and figure out what photo you want to use with it. Don't worry about the papers. Just figure out what photo you think you want to use with it. Or reverse that. And if you, in your head, you're like, oh, this sketch would work so well with this collection. Think about that. So write it down so that when you go to scrap, you've got that part already figured out. So if you're one that likes to print out your sketch, just quickly get it printed out and put it in with the collection that you know you want to use. So when it's time for you to scrap the next time, you've already got that step done. That could be 5 minutes of creating time that you have to do the next time that's done. So there's an idea. Edit a couple photos. Like, say, for example, again, Jackson just started kindergarten today. I took some really, really cute photos. I know I'm gonna want to scrap them, and I took way more photos than I needed. So I could take, in the evening, when I'm sitting watching TV with Sean, it would take me no more than 10 minutes to quickly choose which photos I loved, get those starred, figured out, and then the ones that that aren't good, get them off my phone. It cleans up your phone that way too. I also use the Project Life app. So if I'm doing like smaller layouts where I have two kind of side by side, I could get them into my Project Life app and saved and uploaded, because I do not print from home. So I could get them saved and uploaded to where I get them printed. So when it's time for me to print, it's another step done. Super easy, right? Again, another really tiny little blocks of time. So that is kind of how I go about it. I'm actually thinking about doing so it would almost be a little bit like a vlog of a day in my life and how I create and when I do it. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably do it when it's a normal day, Sean's at work and everything like that, because weekends are my hardest time for creating. I know a lot of people only get to create on the weekends. I'm the opposite. I have the hardest time creating on the weekends. I get more done during the week, and that includes when I'm working. And believe it or not, I actually find that I create more when I'm working than I do being home, stay-at-home mom, maternity leave. I actually have a harder time with it now than I do when I'm working. So we're all a little bit different. Now, all of this being talked about, this is all because it's been the conversation of been talked about for a while, and Christina has posted in the Secret Not Secret Kit Club and her public forum, I believe, a challenge running through September, and it is called the 15-minute creativity challenge. And what you have to do is simply do something. Anything creative of any kind that you consider creativity for you to get done. But doing something to get your juices flowing and all of that. It takes 21 days to create a habit, and she's giving you 25 days. So hopefully by the end of the month, we have all reached that goal and we are all doing something creative every day. That's the hope that she has, and it's a fabulous challenge. There's going to be prizes and a gallery for you to be able to scan through and see what people are doing, so you can see all the different ideas, because everyone has a different idea of how they can be creative throughout the days. So make sure you check that out. The other thing is that Sarah Scraps and Christina will both be posting their own videos kind of like this, talking about how they are creative every day and what their process is, because again, we all do things way differently. What I do may not be feasible for you. Like, you might not it just might not work for you, and that's okay. It's the beautiful thing about scrapbooking and our hobby and what we do is you find what works for you. You just have to make sure that you own it. So if it doesn't work for you, own the fact that this plan isn't working and rearrange it to make it work for you. Don't just stop. That's my biggest thing, is don't just stop. Find another thing you can do and how you can tweak it and make it work. Daisy and I kind of talk about it constantly about, I need to do something. So it's a topic that I think all of us deal with and struggle with, and it's just the way life is. So I have been finding my groove. It's something I've been doing for a very long time, so I'm quite comfortable in my routine, and I'm okay with being able to break up my chunks throughout my day to be creative. I know there are people that cannot do that. It takes a bit for not necessarily your brain, but you need to be creating in an actual set chunk of time. You can't just do 5-minute increments. Again, we're all built differently. So please make sure that you check that out on her little PDF that Christina has created. There's even some more ideas that would be great, so you can read and look at that. And I cannot wait to see what their ideas and what their processes are like. And then stay tuned for next week. There will be that vlog that I talked about, so you can kind of see a little bit more clearly what I do and my plans, and that will give you a sneak peek into what I'm creating, because a lot of times I am working on something that's like a month in advance from when it's due, because it's how long it can take me to create things. Alright guys, I will see you all soon. There is a couple more videos coming up this weekend as well, because I need to get through the rest of my room to show you my plans for my spending freeze, and I hope to get those up this weekend too. Thanks everyone. Bye.